December 18th, 1989, I believe it was. In the 82nd, at least, that year, that's when we started half days. Most people were going home for leave. The military, the Army at least, liked for people to go home to their families when they went on leave. If you went somewhere else like Florida on a vacation, they'd say, "What's your address?" And you say, I don't know, I'm going to be in Florida. And they're like, "You're not going home?" And you're supposed to write the address where you, and it's like, no. And they'd act perturbed that you were going somewhere to have a good time on your leave, on your vacation. But Christmas time, many soldiers go home to their families. So like December 18th to December something, they would go on half days because it was such a skeleton crew. People that didn't go on leave only had to work half a day. There wasn't much going on. And so I happened to be going home to Gaylord for Christmas vacation on leave. And we were required to wear our uniforms, our Class A's, you know, with all the medals and ribbons and you know, all the awards you get. You're supposed to be on an airplane making people feel safe. They changed that after 9/11. They said nobody wears military uniforms on the aircraft anymore. And I get that, because now is a time where you're not showing off and making everything look good and safe. Now is the time when there might be terrorists on the plane that would target you first, whereas you could be a valuable fucking tool in the process. If this thing goes down, they won't know that it's you. You're just some kid with a haircut. December 18th, 1989. I come down the stairs in the barracks by the front desk, the CQ, charge of quarters desk. And there are people running everywhere. I slept in that morning because I was on leave. I'd signed out already, I think at midnight. I signed out on leave and I just slept in the barracks, and I had a flight going out through Raleigh home. And so I come down, getting ready to go to get to the airport, and I have my Class A's on. Everybody's running around crazy. And the CQ, he looks at me and he says, "What are you doing in that?" I says, "I'm going on leave. What the hell is going on?" And he says, "We're on alert." And I said, "Oh, these damn alert things, they do that to us all the time. There's no conflict occurring. It's just a test. It's an exercise. They keep people for 2 weeks. They send them to Arizona and do some kind of laying around in the field and acting like you're having a fucking fight about something." And I said, "Well, screw that. I'm not getting locked in here just to be running around in Arizona. It's Christmas time. It's time to get home." And so I left and I took my flight home. Next morning, the 19th, at about 8 a.m., 0800, the phone's ringing and my dad answers it, and he comes in, he wakes me up and he says, "Archie, your Uncle Carl's on the phone." Uncle Carl was an MP in the Army, and he was a prison guard at Fort Leavenworth. And I get on the phone, "Why are you waking me up?" And he's like, "Why aren't you in Panama?" I'm like, What the hell are you talking about?" He says, "Turn on the TV." And I turn on the TV and I see all the 82nd patches, my guys walking around in the mud, and it's all just, and see, that was when that Operation Just Because began. Yeah. Just cause. Just because. Basically, it was an exercise that involved killing people. And I was like, screw that, I'm on leave. What are you doing there? I'm on leave. They could have called me back, but it was unnecessary. So I finished my leave, go back to Bragg, and I'm down at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, all the time it took for them to bring everybody back home. It was like a ghost town. All these Fayetteville, outside Fayetteville is where Fort Bragg is. You'd go into Vietnam, they called it. My recruiter did, because he was there. You go through Fayetteville, and it's just empty. They always hated the soldiers because the soldiers come in and they screw their girls, their daughters, their wives. Sometimes they take the daughter away, but it's rare. They're just screwing them. The girls are having fun, So they hated soldiers, and I had a girl just flip me off once because her friend was looking at me and smiling, and I was like, in the mall parking lot, I said, hey, hi. And her friend goes, ah. And I said, what the fuck did I do? Oh, yeah, this haircut. Haircut makes a man as much as the damn suit does, evidently. But all the time, all of Fort Bragg was down in Panama. It was the same way as when I was in Saudi and Iraq. It must have been just dead like that back there too. You'd drive through desolation, emptiness, ghost town, and signs up on the marquees that say, welcome our home boys home. All of a sudden they missed us because their businesses were collapsing. So this is it. I tell you all this to lead to this Tuberville character who is holding off like the promotion of 200 military positions because the military has to keep running. Why is he holding off these things, fighting it? Because he says, well, the military pays for travel and everything to get women into another state to get an abortion because it's illegal there. And they think that they have some say over that's wrong, and this and that. They can't do that. And what we have to remember, too, is that something like Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base, which was in this piece of property that was basically surrounded by Vietnam and the surrounding country communities, it's not an institution that is state-run. This is a federal institution. And it's, in my opinion, being that Fort Bragg and these military communities have their own hospitals. Walter Reed over there, Martin something in Fort Bragg, I can't remember what it is. I never spent much time in the hospital. They have their own hospitals, so they could be performing their own abortions there. The only reason they don't is they don't want to offend the state, maybe. So they say, well, just let them go somewhere else. We're trying to keep things calm and keep things just compromising these things with these things. But it seems to me they could be performing their own abortions to keep their soldiers, they're highly trained, highly fucking spent money on. GI, Joe's and Jane, government issue. You are a piece of government property as a soldier. That's where the GI in Joe comes from. He's government issue. He's not supposed to get a sunburn. He can get an Article 15 for that. I came close. So whereas they could be doing it, they're not. They're trying to make everything okay, yet this guy's complaining about it. And if we want a solution to this, we can find it very simply. Everybody thinks I'm talking so much and I never get to the point, but everything's about the point. You just have to have the details. and the parables that help you understand things you might not be thinking about. These places, like with that Tuberville character, Alabama, I believe it is, they could just tell the military that they're not welcome. It's a federal institution, which means it has more power than the state. It could be doing whatever the hell it wants. It's just trying to be nice. And if he tells them to go away, they can just say, well, we can set up somewhere else and spend all kinds of government money, tax money, to reposition somewhere else. You want to send them away, Tuberville? Watch your cities collapse.